It's the Wait a Minute Show.
Bruh. Ain't that right, Lopan? Wait a minute. Book it. Really? Really?
The Wait a Minute Show with your host, Jolani J.B. Bodie.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? It is your man, Jelani J.B. Bodie, host of this thing called The Wait a Minute Show, and I am back in the building once again to give you your sports fix. Actually, we're here on a special day, so if you're actually watching this when we went live or when we, first broadcasted it, it's not on a Saturday, it's on Monday. Yeah, so we had a special holiday weekend, so me and Lopan decided, look, we're going to take off the weekend, but we're still going to watch these sports. We're still going to enjoy these sports. And we'll just come to you on a Monday after everybody done filled their bellies. Are your bellies full? Is everybody good? Everybody had good eats. So now we're back into, the kind of the regular flow, hustle and bustle of things, but we're going to give you a special Monday show. So like I said, it's not just me, it is he, it's him. Everybody give it up for Lopan. That's in the building here with me, and we are here to talk sports. So we got a lot of stuff that we're going to get into. College football is back, ladies and gentlemen, and boy, it is popping. So we got a lot of stuff we're going to talk about in college football. We're going to finish up all the NFL division talk. So we're going to finish this thing up with the AFC East because week one of the NFL is right upon the cusp in the next few days. And we'll be going crazy about our teams and everything else. And also, fantasy football and all that stuff. But there's a lot of stuff in college football. There's a lot of stuff that's going on in the NFL and also in the NBA. We had a trade. Yes, we had a trade that we're going to be talking about. So we'll get to that in a little bit. But before I go any further, man, shouts out to all the people, that's out there just getting through to every hustle and bustle every day of life. Okay, just getting through that. So shouts out to the people, out there. So I just wanted to say that. But also shouts out to the WNBA. Yesterday, we had an awesome game against Las Vegas and Seattle, where that game, it looks like Seattle had it in the bag. And Las Vegas comes back, storming back in the fourth quarter. They go back and forth down to the buzzer, ties it up, goes into overtime and all the, stuff. So if you didn't, check that game out, you missed a treat. But there was a lot of sports, going on. And college football was at the forefront of it all. And that's where we're going to start. And just how college football was. We had some college football last week, but, this is kind of like the week one because everybody, played this week. You didn't have just a few teams playing. So everybody played this week. So it started off in dramatic form. We got a lot of stuff that went on. First is Georgia, the defending champs right now. They're back in the mix. They look like they are going to be a problem going into the season. Obviously, we'll see what happens, if they run into, Alabama, which it looks like they will, later on down the season. But they play Oregon and they handled the business. I think 49-3 or something like that, or 43-3. But it was a handling from beginning to end from Georgia. So no surprise, there that Georgia won. They're the champs. They, recouped all their, a lot of guys that they had. They got some tight end guy that's 6'7", 260 pounds that no one seems to be able to tackle, and deservedly so. And it's just like to go with the pieces that they already had. Now, they lost a few guys to the NFL, but Georgia, re-up like they always do, and they came out there and handled business. Also, Alabama took care of business. They beat Utah State. That was of no surprise there. look, I guess this is the retool or re-up season for the Alabama Crimson Tide, which is still a joke to me that you can get to the national championship game and Nick Saban is kind of talking about that they're retooling or they're kind of rebuilding. That's for another day. But Alabama took care of business. But we had some really good games that went on throughout the weekend, even up until yesterday. The North Carolina Appalachian State game was awesome. Appalachian State, fought back, came up just a little bit short in these games, and it's great that Appalachian State did what they did because it's gonna, play into what we're gonna be talking about later on with some news that was announced in college football this past Friday. That's gonna impact, a lot of teams, but. Awesome game that had went on there. You had Eastern Carolina. They took on NC State. A field goal, extra point, nothing is guaranteed, ladies and gentlemen. You got nothing that is guaranteed. So that game looked like it was going to be going into overtime, and you missed the extra point, and we're talking about that. We're talking all that noise for all of maybe 20, 30 minutes. Michigan took care of business. And I'll talk about Michigan a little bit later because I still got some questions, on their team. Ohio State in a ugly game against Notre Dame. So Ohio State, it was expected that they were going to have this high power offense and it was going to be hard for Notre Dame to keep up. And Notre Dame did pretty well. I mean, until the final fourth quarter, and it was just Ohio State just kept wearing on them, and finally they broke through and they scored, but. Nowhere near, I would assume, nowhere near what people were expecting Ohio State to be, especially, if I remember correctly, Ohio State is ranked number 2. That's not how you expect a team to come out. Granted that they were playing the number 5 Notre Dame Fighting Irish, but still, you're expecting 30, 40 points, 30 plus points, in this game, and they didn't get this game. But this is a good game, for them, a close game. This is the reminder that there is a new season and everybody's not worried about, last year, and that you got to come out and you really got to, play to your potential and play to what you can bring to the table. So they get challenged early. I think that, the kids are going to take that and definitely run with it and be advised that, hey, this thing, we could be like one of these other teams and lose a game early, and it could cost us as well. And speaking of costing, not necessarily costing, but yesterday's game between LSU and Florida State, that game, another game that was, kind of slow. You had new quarterbacks playing, or young quarterbacks, I should say, playing in this, but last 2 minutes were just, a frenzy to where it comes down to a block extra point, not even a missed extra point for Florida State to block LSU's extra point kick. So they had a ton of opportunities. So it wasn't as if Florida State just really took care of this game. LSU had a lot of opportunities. FSU had a lot of opportunities. It just came down to the last play of the game, and Florida State made the play. So we got a lot of stuff that happened in college football, and that was just week one. So you can only imagine what the rest of the season is going to look like. If we're getting these games already at the beginning. So it's going to be live. It's going to be pumping. We're going to be talking about it all season, all season long, all the stuff that happens with college football. So do not miss any of these shows because we'll be covering all the hot topics that's going on in college football. And we're going to continue to cover that here. So it starts with, and I was talking about Appalachian State being affected by this, but this past week, the NCAA announced that college football playoffs is expanding to 12 teams. They will be expanding to 12 teams by the 2026 year. Some are thinking that it could be as early as 2024. They're probably going to be pushing, for that to happen. But if it doesn't, it will happen in 2026 in the NCAA. So what that means is right now, the way the college football playoffs are set up, we got 4 teams, right? We had 4 teams last year, and those teams play each other, and we get down to, a national championship game. Now, people have been, barking and talking about expanding this for years. I was even one of the people, pushing for this. I thought it would be 8 teams. That would be the next number. I didn't think 12 would be they would jump from 4 to 12. But based off of how they're talking about doing it, I get it. I understand why they're jumping to 12, because how this thing is going to break down. The first thing is that there's going to be 6 of the highest ranked teams and the 6 at-large teams. So highest ranked conference teams will make it, and then the 6 at-large will complete the 12 teams that make the playoffs. So this is not necessarily going to be, I don't think it is, and I could be wrong, but I don't think this is going to be just 1 through 12, which I'm thinking, that probably will be the best. But they're still working, some things out. The other thing that's going to go on with this is that the first 4 teams will get a first round bye. So there's going to be some advantage, and there's going to be some benefit to getting into that top 4 spot, is that you won't have to play that first round, and slots 5 through 12 will play the first round, and of course, the next round. So it kind of be like the NFL to a certain degree, where you get a first round bye and then you play, the next week. So everybody's going to, get an opportunity, which I feel, and when I say everybody, I think 12 is enough. I thought 8, like I said, I thought 8 was where they should start, but 12 is definitely going to fill that spot, and we'll still have arguments. Let's just be honest, because somebody's going to be at 13. And you'll be like, no, they should have been 12, or somebody's going to be at 14. No, they should have been at 12. So you still will have those arguments. And those are still good arguments. Those are going to be lovely arguments, to have and talk about, teams that got snubbed and all that. But more importantly is that you got 12 of the top teams. And look, any of these teams have an opportunity. And the best thing that comes with this, when it comes with the 12, it eliminates all that discussion. It eliminates all that, poo-poo, pachoo, talk when it comes to talking about one loss versus 2 losses, because we got that before, saying, oh, a 2-loss Alabama team is still stronger than, a 1-loss, what am I trying to think? UCLA team or something of that magnitude, so you get those people that's saying, well, Alabama got in because they're Alabama and all that stuff. Alabama's pretty much going to be in every year at this point, right? Georgia's going to be pretty much in every year at this point, unless something just really changes with their recruiting and everything. But so you'll have your staples, but you're going to have a lot of teams, I think, between 5 and 12 that's going to be an intermixture year in and year out. And I talked about Appalachian State earlier. Reason I brought up Appalachian State is how they played a heck of a game against North Carolina. They came up short, but you're going to get those games now that's going to be involved. So those teams that go on that magical run and they don't get to get into the playoffs because of the conference that they play, to me, they're going to get their opportunity now. You're going to be able to go in. You're going to have your opportunity to ruin someone else's season as well, that is highly ranked, and then put yourself in a position. So we've seen it in college basketball, and it has played out very well, where you have your George Masons and your St. Mary's and all these other, smaller schools that go on this run. And I think that's going to be a benefit to the NCAA, and that's going to be a benefit to all the conferences. Now, does it how shall I say, does it help with, I guess the power conferences that they're talking about, especially all this realignment that's being done? It remains to be seen. But a kid can go to another school and still be on that stage, play under those lights, play in front of those cameras, and have an opportunity. I'm not saying that, there's going to be a whole bunch of, MAC teams that are just going to come in and just, revolutionize, or not revolutionize, but, tear up the league or anything like that. But it's to be seen. We end up finding out about a lot of these other kids and a lot of these other schools that play really good football, and they're going to be very talented. They're going to be very, the competition, will work well. And I just believe that, hey, this is going to take college football to another level, right? And speaking of another level, I'm going to point out something Coach Jim Harbaugh said, which was really interesting when it comes to this, college football being expanded to 12 teams. Look, I'm just talking about it. It is what it is. But there's going to be talks about compensation for these kids. We've already got the, NIL, deals that's out there. But, there's going to be talk about compensation for kids that's going to be playing in these 12-team conference college football playoffs, because they're playing more games. There's a lot more money to be made, by the schools and everything. And the students are going to be sitting there like, well, hold up. Y'all making money off of us playing more games? The scholarship, amount hasn't changed. The scholarship amount, dollar amount is still going to stay the same. So the schools are going to be making more money. So those conversations is going to be coming up. Jim Harbaugh is on point or on board with the kids making money, off of that. If you make it to the college football playoffs, you should get some of that revenue that they're getting. That's going to be something we'll talk about, later on down the road. But it's very interesting that he brought it up already, because that will be a discussion point as we get closer to implementing this playoffs format to 12 teams. It's just going to be like, hey, you're getting lots of money. You're not getting, minimum wage per hour, for this stuff. There's a lot of money that's going to be circulating around these games. So very, very, very interesting first week of college football, or actually second week technically, but the first major week that everybody is playing. But very, very interesting first week for the NCAA. So let me, and I gotta blame I'm not gonna blame Lopan. I'm not gonna blame him at all, because he didn't turn on my comments section. So, but he brought it up now. You can't see it, but I can see if somebody's making, comments. And I just noticed, and I looked at Lopan, and he's like, ooh, yeah, the comment thing and all that stuff. And I'm like, yeah, Lopan. Indeed. Yeah. So, you lucky. People might be, eating so much that they too tired to type. But let me move on from there. Michigan. So we're talking about Jim Harbaugh, and you're watching the Wait a Minute show here on the YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe, like, and turn on those notifications. But you can get to all of this by thewaitaminuteshow.com as well. I talked about Michigan and Jim Harbaugh. The other thing, last week I talked about Michigan and this whole two quarterback situation, how they're going to decide what they're going to do. You got, one guy starting against Colorado State. You got another guy starting against Hawaii next week. And I just wasn't on board. I was just like, pick one, let's roll with it, see what happened. And if we need to, rotate or play another quarterback down the road, then so be it. Because how I felt was that Colorado State and Hawaii were not going to be measuring sticks as far as like those quarterbacks and who should be playing in the future. And Michigan proved my point. They went out there and beat Colorado State 51-7, and J.J. McCartney and McNamara both played, which I was, I guess I missed the boat on that one, because I thought that just McNamara was going to play the whole, game. They evaluate how he did. Now McCarthy comes out. He's going to play against Hawaii. They evaluate how he did, and then make a decision and move on week 3 going forward. But that is not how it played out. Both quarterbacks got some play. McCarthy got in early. It wasn't like he played the second half or just the fourth quarter. He played early into the game. I don't think we learned anything yet. I know I haven't because what I did find out is that Michigan still got some guys on defense that was getting to the ball. So Aiton Hutchinson and Ajabo, that's in the NFL now, they will be dearly missed. Don't get me wrong, but guys are stepping up, to be that factor on the defensive side. But back to the quarterbacks. To me, I don't think anything was determined. I don't think they came any closer. Yeah, they'll look at, the different drives that they did and what quarterback did what, but I don't think anyone just put themselves ahead of the other quarterback at this point right now. And I don't think you're going to get that when they play Hawaii, because it's probably going to be the same exact formula where they're going to end up just playing McCarthy at the beginning and then put in McNamara. And we'll still be going into week 3 trying to figure out, who's the starting quarterback. So at this point, I would say if you have the same results, unless McCarthy just comes out there and just wets the bed, which I am not expecting at all, is that, look, after they finish this game, pick one. Roll with it. Let's see how it goes. Obviously, playing with 2 quarterbacks right now, and McCarthy played some even last year. McNamara played majority of the snaps, but McCarthy played some. So you've had success with implementing a second quarterback here and there. You can do that in college, but I just think you really got to just go ahead, pick one, move on, and then see what happens. And if things changes and you got to make some moves or whatever, you already know you can put the other quarterback in. So you don't have to wait till the next game. You can go ahead, if it's after the first quarter, if it's after the second quarter, going into the third, you can make those changes that's needed. So I'm just waiting on Jim Harbaugh, and maybe week 3 we'll find out something. Right now, how I'm feeling, I think they'll still be playing 2 quarterbacks going into week 3. And I wouldn't be surprised if Jim Harbaugh said, you know what, hey, this thing is working. Why mess with a good thing? Let's just go ahead and keep playing, both quarterbacks. They both do, excellent work. And we'll still be guessing. If they are still playing 2 quarterbacks after week 3, I'm not even worried about it anymore. It's just, we got 2 quarterbacks. We ain't got, who's the starting quarterback? Whoever out there when the ball snap. That's going to be my mindset, on it, because they're just going to, run both quarterbacks. So it is what it is, ladies and gentlemen. So also what it is that it is time to take a break. When we come back from the break, what I got here on the docket, Lopan, AFC East. Yeah, we'll finish up our division talk in the NFL. We got our last division. We've covered all the other divisions. Week 1 is just days away, officially days away. So we'll cover all of that, and then we'll get into some basketball news as well. Donovan Mitchell, Cleveland Cavaliers, Utah Jazz, the New York Knicks. Yeah, that and more when we get back. We'll be back after a little break.
Do you want your next Atlanta event to be memorable? If so, have Drinking Color at your next function. Drinking Color is sophisticated bartending that creates signature cocktails for your special occasion. Wow your family, friends, and business associates next time with Drinking Color. You can contact the owner, Kiki Lewis, at 678-813-7102. That's 678-813-7102. You can also email her at drinkincolor@gmail.com and follow on Instagram at drinkincolor. And tell her you were referred by the Wait a Minute Show. Drinking Color, cocktail catering. Let the cocktail sparkle at your next event.
Do you like making an impression? Who doesn't? Well, when you want to dress to impress for less, check out Rail Scott at Prime Ties to Go on Facebook and Instagram. Quality accessories for men and women at low, counted low prices. Everything from ties, bow ties, watches, bracelet, earrings to pocketbooks. Don't miss out. Check out Rail Scott, the owner, at Prime Ties to Go. That's Prime Ties, the number 2, Go on Facebook and Instagram.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back, and this is
It's the Wait a Minute Show.
Yeah, here on the waitaminuteshow.com. So you already heard me talk about the YouTube channel, man. Like, subscribe, turn on those notifications so you can catch all the podcasts that we're dropping each and every week. So let's move on. AFC East, right? AFC East, week 1 is literally 3 days away. What's this? Yeah. 3 days away. That we kick off Buffalo Bills versus defending champ LA Rams, and then we get in on Sunday's game where everybody, finish playing, and then of course we got Monday night game. But before we get all that, we're gonna finish up our AFC East to finish up all the divisions that we talked about. So I want to thank all the people that have come on in the past 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks. So the past 2 months, Jeff Fox, Tan Rodriguez, Big Mo, Jay Fish, even though he be cussing on my show, and I told him don't be cussing on my show. I'm gonna handle that. Me and Lopan is gonna handle that. Indeed. But Jeff Fox, man, being from BS3 Sports, who else? My man Fat Mac Reynolds, Colin Reynolds, Jason Cano, Trey and Maestro. I know I'm probably leaving somebody out, but tons of people that came on this show, man, to talk about all the divisions that's going on. Vince Wright, the governor, as well. But I'm going to finish this thing up, and we're going to talk about the AFC East, right? So we're going to start with the New England Patriots. Now, there's been talk about the New England Patriots and their offensive struggles that have been going on in practice, and I guess some in the preseason. So, does this thing, continues? Is this going to be a problem in the regular season? Possibly, perhaps, maybe. Yeah, I think to a certain degree it will be, but I don't think it's going to be as bad as people. I don't see the Patriots only winning like 5 games or anything like that. Now, as far as like the standard that they have set, will they get to double-digit wins? That might be a problem coming this year. But the New England defense, led by Bill Belichick, has been, pretty good. Has been able, and they are willing to do whatever it is that week that needs to be done. So I think they still continue that. Now there's question marks, as far as like who's calling the plays, and all this stuff. So they really don't, I guess they really don't have like an OC and, and all that. New England functions, a certain type of way. So you just got to let them do whatever it is that they do, because they've been doing it for years and they've had success. Of course, a lot of that, came with Brady, being there, but they made the playoffs last year with Mac Jones. So Mac Jones, I do think, he will progress. He'll be better come year 2. They'll still have, their struggles. But I don't see this team, just completely falling apart the season. So yeah, they'll struggle a little bit, but it won't be that horrible, right? So we leave New England and we're gonna touch base to another team up north, and that is the Jets. Jets, Jets. New York, son. New York, what? My Jets. Jets. Yeah, those fans. So they're going into year 2 of the Robert Saleh era. And what is to be expected going into year 2, right? Now, everybody knows Robert Saleh, he's a Michigan guy. He's from Michigan. He's from my home state. So obviously, I want him to have success. But what is the reality, of it? What is going to happen with the New York Jets? One, they got to get their quarterback, Zach Wilson, back. Now, it's rumored that he could come back week 1. I don't really think that you have to be in a rush because those expectations aren't as high as other teams. So you want to have him back week 1, of course, but you don't want to rush him back into week 1. You have Breece Hall, who's going to be, a new rookie that he's trying to learn the ropes of running back along with Michael Carter. I do like that 1-2 combination. They got Garrett Wilson. They have Sauce Gardner. So they got a lot of young talent to go, with their quarterback, Zach Wilson, on both sides of the ball that the Jets look to be maybe headed in the right direction. But I still think this team is going to struggle. I still think this team is still going to learn how to win. They will play better. I think they'll probably have some closer games. But in this division, I still think they finished last in the division as far as the learning curve that they're going through right now. They're a young team. They're learning, on the go. Robert Saleh is learning this thing on the go as well as a head coach. So it takes a little bit of time. Have they made some really good picks and some acquisitions and everything? Yes. But we'll see how it plays out. So I'm not one of those people that just, going to dump on the Jets or anything like that. They got work, they got work to do. But they got some pieces that could play out. This team is better than the team they had 3-4 years ago. So that's a plus in itself. So Jets, they're somewhere around there. Now let's head south down to the MIA and 305 and talk about one of my favorite listeners here on this show, Mocha Bella, and her Miami Dolphins. Right. So look. Is this it? What's the expectations for the Miami Dolphins this year? The expectations for the Miami Dolphins, you got Jalen Waddle from last year. You found out you got a gym there, or you showed everybody you had a gym there. You get this trade that you make for Tyreek Hill. You got Tua that you're believing in. All that other stuff that was going on, about Tua and Brady and what that's all done. You got a new coach though. That's the big thing coming over from San Francisco. But here's what it is. You got talent on this team. The running back situation, there's no clear cut who's going to do what. I'm not surprised by that coming from San Francisco. They had a committee, and I can see them still running that with Edmonds, with Chase Edmonds, with Raheem Mostert, and other guys that's on this, on this team. So I was never expecting the Miami Dolphins just to have some clear-cut, running back to be back there for them, because that's not where the coach came from. So I that is not a surprise to me. But this year, there's no excuses, right? No excuses. You got some nice pieces on defense. You got some nice pieces on offense. You got to do something. And my expectations for them, I'm sure their expectations are a lot higher because they're playing the game. But my expectations for them is to be in the competition for the playoffs, right? To me, I don't think they're going to win the division. And I think that's obvious because we're going to be talking about another team here in just a moment. But I do believe that they could be competitive. They could finish second in this division. I firmly believe that. I don't believe all that stuff about Tua not being able to get the ball to Tyreek Hill, and go deep and all that. Don't necessarily have to do all. It's great. You want to be able to take the top off. You want to be able to utilize that threat. But Tyreek Hill isn't just a go route guy. I mean, he can go over the middle. He can do slants. He can do outs. And it sets up those plays to go over the top, So this team, my expectations for them and what I expect and what I believe that they can do is finish second in the division and then make a run for the playoffs. But the AFC is so crazy. That's why I can't say I expect them to get in the playoffs because there's so much that's going on. Out west is crazy in the AFC West, in itself. So you may have a little bit of craziness going on in the AFC North. So it just may be there's just not enough spaces for them. But I do expect them to be in the mix for the playoffs. Now, last team is the team that has run this division for the past 2 years, and that is the Buffalo Bills, right? And it's only one question. There's no other question. We can mention, the OC and Ken Dorsey. We can mention, running backs, Zach Moss and Singletary, and now they got James Cook. We can talk about all of that stuff. It doesn't mean squat at all. Now, the only question about this team is, can they get to the Super Bowl this year? And there go Mocha Bella, right there, right on cue, telling me, evening, Jelani. Yes, good evening, Mocha Bella. Thank you for dropping in. And Lopan, thank you for getting my comment section up as well. Indeed. Yeah, I think you knew Mocha was about to come on. Y'all texting each other? Y'all, y'all DMing each other? That ain't none of my business. You know what? I'm gonna stay out of that. So let me get back to the Buffalo Bills. So the Buffalo Bills, man, Super Bowl. Is this the year they get to the Super Bowl, man? Is this the year do they get to the Super Bowl? I've been on the fence about this, and I want to say yes. I really do. I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say the Buffalo Bills at least plays in the AFC Championship game to go to the Super Bowl, right? Because, look, no, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and say it. I could be wrong, on this. I talked about the AFC West. Yes, it's going to be crazy out there with the Raiders, with the Broncos, with the Chiefs, and the Chiefs are going to be, a problem, and the Chargers and everything. There's question marks on, with all of that, right? Cincinnati Steelers, to a certain degree, Baltimore. Yes, I mean. But this is supposed to be the year that Buffalo puts it all together. Buffalo understands what they need to do. They've been in these situations, and they have seen what it takes. So can they get to the Super Bowl? Yes, I do believe that they can get to the Super Bowl, right? I do think they are the favorites to get to the Super Bowl over the Kansas City Chiefs and everybody that's in the AFC West. I do believe that the Buffalo Bills are the team that you got to worry about throughout the year, and then when the playoffs come. This is their opportunity to lose. Let me just say that. So I do believe that. Mocha Bella says, don't count out my Dolphins. I did not count out your Dolphins, Mocha Bella, not at all. I pointed them out. I said, second in the division. Mocha also talk about Buffalo starts out strong and then fizzles out in the playoffs. Yeah, but that's why I'm thinking that they learned from that. They have to. And I think you're going to get a different Josh Allen going into this season, with Buffalo. He's already focused, but look, that game against Kansas City left a sour taste in their mouth as far as like how they were able to just really go down the field on them that fast and win that game. You can believe they're telling each other that's not supposed to happen. That wasn't supposed to happen, and it did. So there you have it. AFC East talk. Buffalo is I believe they can make it to the Super Bowl. I believe the Dolphins can, make a run at the playoffs, possibly get into the playoffs. New England will struggle a little bit, but they'll, they won't melt and fizzle at all. And the Jets, they're a work in progress, right? So there, your AFC East talk. That is every division that we've talked about here, and we're gonna move out of football for a quick second. And there was some stuff that went on this past week. Like, it was kind of big news, kind of, a little bit. Cleveland Cavaliers. Yes, the Cleveland Cavaliers made a move where they traded for the services of Donovan Mitchell out of Utah, right? So they trade Colin Sexton and Lauri Markkanen. I forgot the other gentleman. I'm sorry. I apologize. That was in this trade. And they get Donovan Mitchell back. Also, they send some draft picks, Utah's way. So now this deal is done, and Cleveland has Donovan Mitchell. They have him to, go with Darius Garland. They have him to go with Evan Mobley. They have him go with Jared Allen, guys who, either are rising stars or played in the All-Star game in the past 2-3 years. So it's a simple question, right? Where does Cleveland fall in the Eastern Conference with the acquisition of Donovan Mitchell? It's a simple question. I'm not saying that it's a simple answer, but I will say this, is that the answer is it doesn't put them at the top. It doesn't put them with Boston. It doesn't put them with Philadelphia. Depending on how Brooklyn comes back, because there were high expectations for Brooklyn. So you got to assume that there's going to be those same expectations for the Nets. So it hasn't put them in the top 3. Then you got teams like the Atlanta Hawks that made a move. You expect them to, move up a little bit. Chicago is going to be back, kind of in the mix as well. Indiana will be in the mix. Now, I'm not saying that Indiana and all these teams are going to be above Cleveland, but what I will say is that the Cleveland Cavaliers will be a team that people will be watching from day one throughout the playoffs. I mean, throughout the season. And there will be playoff expectations for this team. So I do see them finishing somewhere between that 5 to 7 range, probably 5 or 6 to be honest. Is it enough? I don't think it's enough yet. I think it's a start. I think it's a great start. You have a lot of young talent, and you have a guy in Donovan Mitchell who's a high flyer. They still need some other pieces to go with this. They're going to have, one thing I do like, and I'm hoping he stays on the team, they're going to have a veteran leadership from a guy like Kevin Love, who should be, on this team when everything is all said and done. So you're going to have, guys, that's on this team that's going to be able to assist. Ricky Rubio is going to be on this team. So I do think that the Cleveland will be a competitive team day in and day out. This move improved the Cleveland Cavaliers. I will say that. How much? It wasn't by leaps and bounds, but it definitely have improved this team. And it's something that we need to talk about, and something that teams in the Eastern Conference need to keep an eye on, right? Because there's other teams that I'm forgetting, right now, that's gonna be in the East. Charlotte, you got to expect, something, from them. Boy, I am sorry, Mocha Bella, because I was just going through this. The Miami Heat. So that's why 5 or 6. That's why, because Brooklyn, Philly, Miami, Boston. That's going to be my top 4. So there's going to be 5, 6. Still, it's going to be a tight race for that 5 through 8, 5 through 9 spot. But I do see, Cleveland falling somewhere, probably in that mix. So good move for the Cleveland Cavaliers. To me, they had to give up Markkanen and Colin Sexton, but what you're getting, the city's gonna be excited, the team's gonna be excited, the league is excited, and these teams are, this team is gonna be, on some more primetime games. So good move for the Cleveland Cavaliers. New York Knicks, not so good. We'll talk about them a little bit later. When we come back, we're gonna continue some basketball news, because I'm gonna follow up with this trade. So now Donovan Mitchell is out of Utah. I got some questions when it comes to Utah, man. You gotta look at some things. So when we come back, we're gonna ask these questions about Utah, and then we'll wrap this thing up. I think I got a Big L award, Big Loser award but it's gonna be a different Big Loser award that I hand out this time. All right, it's gonna be some, something from the heart, but it's gonna be different. So check it out when I come back. But we'll be back after some words.
Do you want your next Atlanta event to be memorable? If so, have Drinking Color at your next function. Drinking Color is sophisticated bartending that creates signature cocktails for your special occasion. Wow your family, friends, and business associates next time with Drinking Color. You can contact the owner, Kiki Lewis, at 678-813-7102. That's 678-813-7102. You can also email her at drinkandcolor@gmail.com and follow on Instagram Drinking Color, cocktail catering. Let the cocktail sparkle at your next event.
Do you like making an impression? Who doesn't? Well, when you want to dress to impress for less, check out Rail Scott at Prime Ties to Go on Facebook and Instagram. Quality accessories for men and women at low, counted low prices. Everything from ties, bow ties, watches, bracelet, earrings to pocketbooks. Don't miss out. Check out Rail Scott, the owner, at Prime Ties to Go. That's Prime Ties, the number 2, Go on Facebook and Instagram.
He's the brain of operations.
I'm telling you right now, book it.
And him, he's along for the ride. But together, they bring you sports like you've never heard before. The Wait a Minute Show, a new way of discussing today's trending sports topics. And now, back to the show with your host, Jolani J.B. Bodie.
Hey, you know what, man? This is my show, so I'm going to do it the way that I want to do it. Yeah, we went to a break, but that water is good. I had to, get a little swig of that, man. That water, get some H2O in your body. It'll help you out. So before I go on, man, check out, man, Being the Bodies, man, on YouTube, man. That is my little daughter and her little mind of things that goes on in her head. So she got your boy out there in a bounce house challenge, right? So that was very comical. So if you haven't already, man, go to YouTube, man, type in Being the Bodies, or you can type in Ayla Bodie, AYLABODDIE, and you can check out those episodes as well. So let's get back. What was we talking about? Yeah. So Lopan, the other part of this trade. So with Donovan Mitchell going to Cleveland, they sent back, Colin Sexton and Lauren Marketing and some draft picks. The Utah Jazz for the next 6 years got about 15 first-round picks, right? 15 first-round picks. What on earth are the Utah Jazz doing? They have traded away Donovan Mitchell. They have traded away Rudy Gobert. Now it's rumored that they're looking at trading away Mike Conley, Jordan Clarkson. Who's the other guy? Bogdanovic. So veteran leadership, veteran guys, they've moved out a bunch of other guys. So what are they doing? Well, I'll tell you what they're doing. Danny Ainge is there. Danny Ainge is not the general manager, but this smells of Danny Ainge and just, the plot in the program, the plan, if you will, right? So if you remember, Danny Ainge did this in Boston, where he made all these trades, especially the one he sent to the Brooklyn Nets when he sent Paul Pierce and KG, and got all these draft picks, right? All these draft picks, they turned out to be guys like Marcus Smart, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and it worked. They were just playing in the NBA Finals this past year. So I'm looking at this as the same thing, is that you have trade capital, you have that you can utilize to either get someone, trade up to get someone, or if you're already, because this team with trading everybody, you got to expect that they're gonna, go down as far as like in the rankings and everything. So they're gonna be probably lottery picks, high lottery picks that they're gonna be picking. They're gonna be looking at getting guys to play there and try and get them to fall in love with the city versus because they're not gonna win the free agency game. Okay, so. Danny Ainge knows that. Danny Ainge knows he has to go out there, and the general manager knows he has to go out there and get, talent. But also, you can utilize that trade capital to acquire a name, right? Maybe have someone there for a year or two and then have the success. So that's what I see from the Utah Jazz, is that this has got a sprinkle of Danny Ainge all over this. Boston once again, where we saw that formula and it worked. You're gonna need, you got to make sure you got your, the coach in place, because there's gonna be some rough times that they're gonna have to be getting through, because this thing is not going to be, successful right now going into the season, and it's not going to be successful going into the next season. But it is I guess it's another trusted process, but a little bit different process as far as like how that they're doing it. But tons of draft capital, utilizing that, holding on to it, finding yourself, guys that paid off just like they did with Jason Tatum. That in itself is what I see, from the Utah Jazz and what they're doing over there, because that is what's going to make them relevant. And previous history proves me right. When's the last free agent just said, oh, me, come and get me, Utah? It's a reality. Where was their success? Remember, when the Utah Jazz made the finals, who was their main two players? Karl Malone, John Stockton, right? How did they get those guys? Drafted them, right? That's how it's going to have to work. They're going to have to draft them. Then they're going to have to add, other pieces there. So it is what it is. Oh, we got something also. Mocha Bella says, John, did you let your daughter win that bounce house challenge? Did she win? Did she really win? You got to watch. If you haven't already, make sure you watch. Did I let her win? Or did she win on her own? That's an interesting. Lopan would probably say she won.
Indeed.
Yeah, you see my face. But anyway, check out the show and decide for yourself on there. Being the Bodies, Ayla Bodie, man, check it out. So, what else we got going on? Cowboys, right? Cowboys made a move. They signed former Eagles Jason Peters recently because Tyron Smith had went down. What does this move mean for the Dallas Cowboys? Nothing really. I mean, don't get me wrong. Jason Peters is going to be someone. They needed someone like Jason Peters to hold it down, either for the rest of the season or until Tyron Smith get back. I don't know if he's going to be back at all this season. But you needed to make this move, right? For your season. It's not a shifter, if you will, to the point to where it's just like, oh, it puts them in another bracket or it puts them in another territory. But they went out there, they did what they had to do. They got a guy that they needed to get to make Dak Prescott a little bit easier when it comes to guys coming off the edge, right? Now, Eagles fans, it's going to be amazing when Dallas goes to Philadelphia, because Jason Peters had been in Philadelphia all his life. Look, Philly, it's just business, all right? If it was that bad, your team should have brought him back. They didn't bring him back. So look, the man wants to make a living. He got an opportunity. There's a team that's looked at to be doing well, or have a good opportunity to do well in this division. Can't fault him for that. So Philly, be nice to Jason Peters. I know you won't, but I'm just asking. Be nice to Jason Peters, okay? Remember, the team didn't want to bring him back they couldn't agree. Let me just say that. They couldn't agree on something where they could have him come back. So let the man live. Let the man live. Last, before we get to the Big L Award, is the New York Giants. We're staying in the NFC East. The New York Giants got an OC, right? Brian Daboll. Nope, not Brian Daboll. It is Mike Kafka. Right? Kafka. And I was like, Kafka? Why does that name sound so familiar? Kafka. Big Ten guy. He was a former quarterback for Northwestern University, but I remember him at Philadelphia. So he played as a backup for Philadelphia. He played a little bit, and then he went, through the league, and now got into coaching, and he is going to be the OC for the Giants. Is this major news? No. because look, Brian Dabo is still going to have his fingerprint throughout all of that. Mike Kafka is going to be the OC. He's going to do his thing. He's spent some time in KC as quarterbacks coach and all that. So he has his opportunity. But as I talked before, when I was talking to Microwave and Ben from BS3 Sports, some of these guys are probably not going to be around next year anyway. This is going to be probably a tough year for the New York Giants, right? I know last year was tough, but this is probably going to be a tough year, for them. So I don't think this is something where it's Mike Kafka got to make sure he doesn't mess anything up or anything like that. Mike Kafka just got to keep learning and progress at where he's at and make sure he's ready, for next year. Because unless he just implodes, then he'll probably be calling plays again next year. This team is not where they need to be or where they want to be at this point to put that type of pressure on Matt Kafka. Brian Dabo is going to, take the heat regardless of what goes on there. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it is this time. It's Mocha Bella's, favorite time of the show, I think, where we hand out an award. So I bring to you the Big L Award.
And you are one pathetic loser.
Let's go.
We're gonna see the best collection of losers this park's seen for many a year.
You made me feel like a loser!
La loser.
Le who? The her.
Yeah. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the Big L Award, which is the Big Loser Award, where we hand out the loser gift, because sometimes we just do loserous things. But this is going to be a different one. All right. This is going to be a compassionate Big L Award, right? This is nothing of the doing of where you're just like, ew, how could you, right? This is just continued misery, if you will. So it comes from a place in my heart because I feel for you, right? And who am I talking about? Well, we talked about earlier that Donovan Mitchell ended up in Cleveland. Well, he was really, really on the radar and really, I guess, this close to going to New York and playing for the Knicks. So yes, ladies and gentlemen, that for the Knicks and the Knicks fan, that is another player, that we can go on and on about where, KD, Kyrie. I mean, I even remember it goes back to people were like, LeBron is coming to New York, and it did not come to fruition, right? It did not happen. So this Big L Award is not to point fingers and everything. This is a sympathy Big L Award for Knicks fans, because it's just like, how many are they going to lose out on? I mean, being in New York, playing in the Garden, it has to mean something, right? But it just, whatever it is, I don't know. Is it the offers that's being made by the Knicks? Is it, now some of that, people were talking about in the past, it was who was there and they just didn't believe in, upper management. I think some of this may have to do with James Dolan and all that. Maybe they don't want to play, for him being the owner or anything like that. But it's just like, how many times is it that the New York Knicks, like this one was just crazy because it was other teams, but then it's just start coming down to where it was like, okay, it's the Knicks. It's the Knicks. It gotta be the Knicks. The Knicks are gonna get Donovan Mitchell. And then like Charlie Brown and Lucy or whatever, they swipe the football, from them. So this like, how many times are they gonna put Knicks fans, through this? They're excited. You got Spike Lee be out there, him and Stephen A. And then you see him after all, and it's like, dang, you got it. I know New York fans, they're a little tough and everything, but you got to feel for them for a little bit. So this is not a see, another loser, kind of moment. So I'm not going to give them that. But, the big loser in this whole Donovan thing is Knicks fans, because the pure joy and excitement that they were going to have has been taken away from them. So, but I got to play it anyway.
See? Another loser.
Lopan. No. Yes, New York fans are rough. Yes, I know, but come on, man. Come on, man. All right, I'm sorry. So, Mongo Bella said, don't nobody want to play for the Knicks. Yeah, you gotta be easy on them, man. They I know it's not Miami. It's not Miami and everything, but it is what it is. So, ladies and gentlemen, man, that is it, man. A special show on the Labor Day. Everybody get some rest in, because you got to work off that food that you were eating all weekend. You got to work off whatever it was you were doing over the weekend, because it wasn't the regular weekend. So you got to get back into your groove. You got to get back and get your mojo. You got to get back and get going, right? Get going. So tomorrow, wake up, man. Don't be complaining and all that stuff. Oh, man, I gotta get, because I'll be complaining. No, I'm just playing. So, everybody, man, make sure, check out the show, man. Like, subscribe, turn on those notifications, man. We'll be back with another show on Saturday, man, to talk about whatever's going on in the world of sports. So, for your man, Jelani JB Bodie, host of this thing called The Wait a Minute Show, I'll holler at y'all later, man. Two things as always: stay positive and push forward. Open. You know. Let's go.